In 2012, a prisoner escaped from jail using ketchup. Every day, he saved his portion from the prison cafeteria, even stealing extra from other inmates. He combined it with other ingredients until he created a powerful acid, which he applied to the steel bars of his cell. The acidity was so strong that it gradually corroded the metal, weakening the bars little by little. And after 6 months, the prisoner was able to bend them with ease. He jumped down through the window while the guards were distracted and hid inside a supply truck, finally escaping. But a few days later, they found him hiding in the trash, and they stopped handing out ketchup in the prison food.
A man was buried in a grave with a glass panel placed right above his face. For years, people could walk right up to his grave and look 2 meters underground, seeing his face through the window. He did this because he had a deep fear of being buried alive. And to be safe, he also installed a bell connected to a rope, just in case he needed to signal that he was still alive. But little by little, dirt and moisture gradually covered the entire glass, hiding both the man and his fears forever.
How to always win at Uno. Never play a +2 or a +4 at the beginning of the game. It's very likely your opponent will have another +2 and you'll end up drawing 6 cards. If a player only has 2 cards left, talk to them about something interesting. When it's their turn, they'll be distracted by the conversation and forget to say Uno. On the other hand, if you have 2 cards left and one is a color change card, never choose the color of your last card, because the other players will do everything they can to change it again. Finally, if the player to your right only has 1 card left and no one can change the color, pretend to drop your cards on the table. All the other players will see your cards, but they'll also figure out which number you need to change the color. If you're in danger, do this to call for help. First, make the universal signal for distress. Raise your hand with the palm facing out, fold your thumb across your palm, and repeatedly close your fingers over your thumb. This signal was created for women to ask for help in cases of abuse, but nowadays all police recognize it as a common sign of distress. Second, many restaurants and bars have a secret code to ask for help. If you say angel shot, it means you need help getting to your car. Angel shot spicy means that you need an Uber. And angel shot with lime means you need police assistance. Lastly, if you can't move, use the rule of 3 repetitions to call for help. Make 3 quick flashes or 3 knocks on the table to signal an SOS emergency rescue. If you think a person is following you, do this to find out. First, make sure you're not being paranoid. If you're walking down the street and pass someone once, that's normal. If you enter a store and see them again, it's probably just a coincidence. But if you see them again in a completely different place, according to the Moscow rule, you're being followed. To be sure, turn 4 times to the right to make a full circle. If they're still behind you after looping around, it's not a coincidence, you're being followed. Now, here's what you need to do. Stay calm and act normal. Look for a crowded place, like a store or a restaurant. Then, alert the staff about the suspicious person and call the police to arrest the criminal.
If you fall into a silo filled with grain, you may immediately try to climb out, but that would be extremely difficult due to the shifting of the grain, which traps you like quicksand and makes it impossible to breathe. Instead, try to create an air pocket around your face by bringing your hands together. But if you're really stuck and start sinking, limit your movements to avoid sinking deeper. Call for help and stay calm. Wait for rescue while keeping an air bubble around your face until you hear help arrive.
If you're digging in your yard and you find oil, don't try to sell it to get rich. It actually belongs to the government, and if they find out, you could go to jail. If you go to the doctor and they tell you you only have 5 days to live, don't do illegal things or spend a lot of money all at once. When you die, your family will have to pay for everything you did. If you're at a party and someone fires a gun into the air to celebrate, leave as quickly as possible. Once it reaches a certain height, the bullet will fall and it could hit you and kill you. If you're in a parking lot and see a dog trapped alone inside a car, call the police immediately. The extreme heat inside the car acts like an oven and it could kill it. How to play Super Tic-Tac-Toe. The game starts with 9 different boards and 81 available spaces. Player X picks the center board and plays in the top right corner. Now, player O is forced to respond in the board that matches the square of the previous move. Since X played in the top right square, O must play in the top right board. The game continues until a player completes 3 in a row and claims the board square. If a player is forced to play in a board that's already finished, their opponent gets to choose which board they must play in. Finally, Super Tic-Tac-Toe ends when one player wins 3 boards in a row.
How to avoid being asked while in class if you don't know the answer. What you're not going to do is to avoid direct eye contact with the teacher. If you look out the window, he will think you are distracted and will ask you. Act like if you are busy writing on a piece of paper or reading your own notes. So the teacher will think that you are involved with the subject, but you are not available to answer at the moment.
If we get invaded by aliens, don't try to befriend an alien. To the Martian visitors, you're nothing but a stupid animal and they'll experiment on you. If you're an idiot and you're vegan, don't go to a barbecue with your friends. You won't be able to eat and you'll look ridiculous. If you're at school and see some bullies picking on a kid, don't help him because you'll get beaten up. Instead, record a video for YouTube and the police will send them to jail. If you pick a fruit in the jungle, don't eat it. Jungle fruits are often very poisonous and you could die instantly. He stepped out onto the wire between the Twin Towers in 1974, since the Highwire artist had secretly rigged a cable between the towers over 500 meters above the ground. For 45 minutes, he danced, knelt, and even laid down on the suspended wire, all while the wind swayed the cable beneath him. A crowd of people gathered below, stunned. Eventually, police arrived and demanded he come down, but he wasn't in a rush to descend, and after 8 more dances, he finally laughed and came down. If you fall into the ocean from a cruise, your body will hit the water at 70 kilometers per hour, quickly submerging you deep into the water. But if you manage to make it back up, the ship will most likely be too far away, making it almost impossible to be seen in the water. Now, if someone saw you fall, the captain will stop the ship, but the rescue protocol can take such a long time that you'll have to wait in the ocean for hours, and that's if they find you at all.
By accident, you put the milk before the cereals because you're way too tired. Do this and you'll be able to sleep better. After your classes and playing on your mobile phone, it is the time for dinner. Remember, you really need to stop eating 2 hours before going to your bed. On the other hand, 30 minutes before going to sleep, stop using your mobile and turn on the airplane mode. However, how do I set my alarm if now I don't have the phone? Go and buy yourself a real clock with alarm. Finally, put up dark curtains to block out the light from outside. Don't drink water before sleeping and subscribe to BigDanBaby.
If there's a small piece of skin sticking out of the corner of your finger, don't try to pull it off. The wound could keep tearing endlessly. Instead, use scissors to cut it. If it's your grandmother's birthday, never throw her a surprise party. You could literally scare her to death and she won't make it to her next birthday. If you accidentally walk into the women's bathroom, don't try to hide so nobody sees you. Someone might catch you and think you're a pervert. If you go out to dinner with your girlfriend and your card gets declined, don't admit you're broke and have no money. Say that you were traveling abroad and your bank only has a foreign currency.
If you have to cross a frozen river, lie down flat and crawl like a worm. If you run across it, the ice will break and you could die from hypothermia. If you've been kidnapped by a group of terrorists, do not play dead. Terrorists always check the corpses and they'll kill you. If you're about to wear dirty clothes, but they don't smell bad, don't do it. Your nose has gotten used to the bad smell that it can't detect the stink anymore, but you're still gross. Even if you're dying of thirst, never drink your own urine. If the bacteria enter your stomach, you could die from poisoning. It's better to find a cactus and drink carefully. If a stranger sends you money but says it was a mistake, don't send it back. It's a trick that most scammers use to launder money.